Alright, good morning. So right now I'm going to go over the Chapter 4 assignment so you can check your answers and see where you went wrong. Question 1. Classify the following numbers as natural whole, integer, rational, or irrational. So I look at this. It's not terminating, but it's repeating exactly, so I know it's a rational. This one is not terminating, and it doesn't really repeat, so this one's irrational. Means can't be represented as a fraction. This one's the fourth root of 16. It means what times what times what times what equals 16. You'll find out that that's just equal to 2. And 2 is a natural number, a whole number, an integer, and a rational. And then this one here, if we simplify it, we know it's equal to root 16 over root 25. Which is just 4 over 5, which is a fraction, so you know this is rational. Alright, on to question 2. Write each radical in the simplest form. We have root 32. When it means simplest form, it means a mixed radical. So what we can do here is we can prime factor 32. And that can go to 2 and 16, 2 and 8, 2 and 4, 2 and 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2's. So overall it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. We group by 2's to take them out. So we can take out 1, 2 for these 2's out, 1, 2 for these 2 out. We're left with 1, 2 on the inside of it. So overall 4 root 2. Okay, so again this one 600, we have to prime factor. So we know 60 and 10 work, we know 6 and 10 work there, and we know 5 and 2 there, and 5 and 2 there. So overall it's going to be square root of 6, which is a 3 and a 2. So it's 3 times 5 times 5 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we can take two 5's out and 2 2's out. So this can be 5 times 2, 10, root 6 overall. Alright, and then here's a cube root, so it's a different type of question, but we still have to prime factor this. So 81 is a 9 times 9, and both those are 3 times 3. So I know 81 can be written as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And the cube root of that means we have to take out 3 to put into 1. So 3 3's can turn to 1 3. The cube root, the index never changes, and we're left with just 1 3 on the inside. So 3 cube root of 3 is the simplest version there. We got another cube root here, so we can prime factor the 128 at least. So there's 2 and 64, 2 and 32. And then I know eventually this will be broken up to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. I'm being really quick. I know that because we did that in A. We did 32 is 5 2's. Alright, so overall I have the cube root of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2's. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2's. So we can take out 3, 3, and there's 1 left over. So 2 times 2, cube root 1 left over. So it's 4 cube root of 2. Okay, so that's the answer for D. Alright, now let's move on to section 3. Put the following in order from least to greatest. I know a few people just use their calculator for this part, but there's a way to do it without your calculator. And that's making them all under the same, like not making them mixed fractions. These are all mixed fractions, making them so they're all underneath the radical symbol. So I can bring the 9 back in by going cube or square root of 9 times 9 times 2. This one I can bring the 2 in by changing it to 2 of them. Square root 2 times 2 times 6. This one, same thing, 8 times 8 times 3. And this one, square root of 4 times 4 times 5. So this is end up going to be 81 times 2, which is 162. This one is 4 times 6, 24. This one's 64 times 3, so 128, 132, 192. And then this one is 16 times 5, so 64, 80. root 80. So if I look at, now I can compare all these numbers because they're all under one radical symbol. So this one's the greatest, second greatest, third greatest, least greatest. Okay, so the least greatest, the 2 root 6, will go first. And then the second one is root 80, which is 4 root 5. Third one is root 162, which is 9 root 2. And then the last one is root 192, which is 8 root 3. All done. Alright, now to some exponent laws. Simply the following using the exponent rules. Leave all answers in exponent form. So here we're multiplying, so we add the exponents. So 2 plus negative 3 is x to the negative 1, right? Or 1 over x. Here we're dividing, so we subtract the exponents. You always take the bigger one. The bigger one in this case is the 1. So 1 minus minus 4 is 5. 4 to the 5. Here we have to distribute this 4 to the inside of the bracket, into there, and into there. So we'll end up with a to the 12, b to the negative 20, which is the same as a to the 12 over b to the 20. This one here, there's two ways of doing it. You can simplify the inside first, then distribute this, or you could distribute it first. I'm going to simplify first. So x to the power 1 divided by x to the negative 1 is 1 minus minus 1, which is x to the 2. And it goes where the bigger number was, which is the top. And then here we can go 4 minus minus 3 is y to the 7. So that 3, so we distribute that on the inside. So we end up with x 2 times 3 is 6, y 7 times 3 is 21. There you go, we got d finished there. So let's go to 5. Write each radical as a power. The fifth root of 3, so it's just 3 to the 1 over 5. This one here is x to the negative 3 over 5. These are pretty straightforward. 5 to the 1 quarter. The index always goes in the bottom. X to the negative 2 over 3. There you go. All of them written as a power. Write each power as a radical. Now you're going the other way. So 5 to the half is just root 5. This one is going to be negative a. Oh, not in brackets. So here they don't have it in brackets here, so it's saying only the a is 3 to the power 5. The minus is not, so it's going to be minus, and then fifth root a cubed, like so. This one is root 2. And then this one again, the minus is not in brackets like that, so that means the minus is not having this kind of exponent. So the negative's out front, and then it's the fifth root of x squared. Alright. Here, evaluate each of the following. We have this. Let's bring the fraction to each number there, so 4 to the 3 over 2 over 9 to the 3 over 2, which is the same as the square root of 4 cubed over the square root of 9 cubed. I'm not going to cube it yet because I know I can square root both of these, so I'll do that. So it'll be 2 cubed over 3 cubed, which is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. There you go. This one here is negative 64 to the 2/3. Again, it's not in brackets. The negative's not having this applied to it. So the negative's out front. And then it's cube root of 64 squared. I'm not going to square. I'm going to cube root first. So 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. So I know it's going to be negative 4 squared, which is going to be negative 16. This next one is pretty similar. You do the same thing. 327 squared. So it's going to be negative. The cube root of 27 is 3. So we're going to go 3 squared, which is negative 9. And then here, we can distribute the 3 over 2 on the inside. 1 to the 3 over 2 over 64 to the 3 over 2. And we get 1 over, and then the 64 to the 3 over 2 is the square root of 64, which is 8 cubed. Okay, 8 cubed, which is 8 times 8 times 8 times 8, 512. Alright, so that page is done. Now let's go on to 8. Value each of the following. You may use a calculator to check your work, but to get any marks, you must show each step. Leavable answers is either whole numbers or in fraction form. So this one, let's try to simplify. 1 over 2 to the 3, which is 1 over 8. There you go. It's pretty straightforward. This one here is, I'm going to distribute, or since it has a negative, I'm going to swap it. So now it's going to be negative 5 over 2 to the positive 2. And now you distribute it on the inside. Even the negative sign is going to get a squared. So now it'll be 5 squared, negative sign squared, and 2 squared. Negative sign squared is positive, 5 squared is 25, 2 squared is 4. This one here, 16 and 1 over 4, which is the 4th root of 16, which is just 2. One thing I note is there's a tiny negative sign there. So it's really 1 over this, so it's 1 over 2. Hard to see that. Here, negative 27 to the power 1/3, which is root. Since the negative sign is inside the brackets, it's inside the brackets here. 27 and the 3. So what times what equals negative 27? That'll be negative 3. Okay. And again, there's a negative sign in the exponent that I didn't see, so it's going to be 1 over. All right. Here it's the negative 3 over 2. So let's change that to 4 over 9 to the positive 3 over 2. Bring that 3 over 2 on the inside, and we get 4 3 over 2 over 9 3 over 2. And then, so we can take the square root of both of these. So we'll get it 2 to the power 3, which is 8. And we'll get 3 to the power 3, which is 27. Hopefully we could see that. Alright, here we have the same base. It's a decimal, but they're the same number, so that works. 0.2 to the power negative 1 times 0.2 to the power 3. So we just go negative 1 plus 3, which is 2. 0.2 squared. There we go. So that one's done. Now we can go on to the next one. I'll make it a bit bigger, easier to see. 4 over 5th to the power 4/3 times 4 over 5 to the power negative 1/3. Okay, so here they're the same base, so we can add the fractions. Okay, so it's 4 over 3 plus negative 1/3. It's 3 over 3. So it's 4 over 5 to the 3 over 3, which is just the same as 4 over 5 to the power 1. Nice, that one's all done. This one here, there's many different ways of doing it. We're going to simplify the bottom first, these two. Since the bases are the same, we can just add the exponents. 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2. So I'm going to rewrite everything, but I'm going to add these two. 3 plus 5 is 8, and then we leave the bottom the same. So 8 over 2. And then cubed. And then here, if we look at this, we can go 8 over 2 minus 7 over 2, because we're dividing, which gives us 1 over 2. But we put it where the bigger number was. So it's going to equal 1 over 3.5 to the power half, cubed. And then we'll bring this 3 to the inside, and we get 1 over 3 times a half is 3 over 2. Alright, so now that we do this one, again I'm going to do the same thing. 4 to the half times 4 to the 3 over 2, we just add them, so that'll give us 4 over 2. So we get 4 to the 5 over 2 over 4 to the 4 over 2. The fourth, now we can go 5 over 2 minus 4 over 2, which is 1 over 2. And we put it on the top because the bigger number's on the top. Now we go 4 times a half, which is 4 over 2. And we can simplify 4 over 2 is just 2. Alright, now we go here. Simplify each of the following: x to the 5, y to the negative 2, x to the 2, y to the 4th. So we can rearrange it so it's x to the 5, x to the 2, y to the negative 2, y to the 4. We can add the exponents, x to the 7 and y to the 2. All done. This one here, we have to distribute this to all three numbers, even that 27. So it'll be the cube root of 27. And then here we can go 1/3 times a 6 times 6, which is 6 over 3. And then here we go b to the 9 times 1 over 3, which is 9 over 3. Now let's try to simplify. Cube root of 27 is 3. 6 over 3 is just 2, so a squared. 9 over 3 is 3, so b cubed. Alright, this one here, let's see if we can simplify anything. 81, there's no number on the bottom, so we got to keep that the same, so 81. A and a seventh, so really it's 7 minus 1 gives us an a6 on the bottom. And then here, b to the 2/3 minus b to the negative 1/3, so we can go 2 over 3 minus negative 1/3, which is the same as adding, so 2 over 3 plus 1 over 3 is 3 over 3, and it goes with the bigger number. And then we have that half still. So now it's simpler. So now we can distribute this half to each number. So now we get 81 to the half, which is just 9. And then this is 3 over 3, which is 1, so it's going to be b to the half. And then this is 6 times 1 over 2, so it's going to be a to the 6 over 2. And this is going to leave us with 9 b to the half, and 6 over 2 is just 3, a cubed. Okay, let's go to 11 now. Identify any errors in the solution, then write a correct solution. When I see this, let's see what they did each step right. So they start with this, and then they just write s negative 1 again. S4 beside it, t 1/3 t cubed. So that step is correct from here to here. They didn't do anything, they just moved things around. And then they said these two will convert to this, so negative 1 plus 4 gives me 3. So that's not right. And then they also said t 1/3 times t third, so 1/3 plus 3. Let's see what that is. 1/3 plus 3. We have to make the bottoms the same before we can add them. So this we have to times by 3 times by 3. So it's really 1 over 3 plus 9 over 3, which is 10 over 3. So t doesn't even have an exponent, or the exponent is 1, which is not the same as 10 over 3, so that's not right either. Okay, so the correct solution from here should have been s to the 3, t to the 10 over 3. Alright, now let's go to B. See what they did wrong here. So if I look at this, it's pretty simplified on the inside. They have this negative 3. So what they did is the c is still on the top, so they probably distributed this on the inside to each of those 3. So let's see, 4 to the negative 3 is not negative 12. So that's not right. Let's see. Negative 3 times 1/3 is negative 3 over 3, which is negative 1. That's right. And then negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. That's not right. Okay, so from here to here it should have went 4 to the negative 3 times c to the negative 1, that was right, over d to the negative 9. Okay, and then if you simplify that even further, you want to switch all the negative signs, so you'd end up with d to the 9 over 4 cubed c, and then if you simplify that number, it's d to the 9 over 4 times 4 times 4 is 64 c. Alright, onward. So we're on to the last page, which is to simplify. You have this expression here, which is pretty big. I don't think I'll have enough room. Actually, I might adjust. So we're going to write up here. So let's bring the s's together, the numbers together, and the t's together. So we can rearrange everything that's being multiplied, because everything here is being multiplied. So we can write that 7, and I'm going to write that -6 beside it. And then I'm going to write the s 7 over 4, and I'm going to write the other s to the -11 over 4. And then I'm going to write this t to the -5 over 3. And then I'm going to write the last t to the 7 over 3. So I've written everything, and I've just written them in a different order. So now we go 7 times 6 is -42. We can go s 7 over 4 plus -11 over 4 is -4 over 4. And then here -5 over 3 plus 7 over 3 is 2 over 3. So we can t 2 over 3. So overall, if I can simplify this part, so -42 s to the -1 times t to the 2/3, which ends up being a negative exponent, which has to go on the bottom. So -42 t to the 2 over 3 all over s. So that's the answer for that one. That was a tricky one. Now this one, 5 over 2, a to the -4, b7 to the -3. Let's distribute that -3 into everything. Okay. So that'll end up being 5 over 2 to the -3. Let's see, -4 times -3 is 12. B to the 7 times -3 is -21. And then I can distribute this into those two, which is going to be 2 cubed over 5 cubed, a to the 12, b to the -21. 2 cubed is 8, 5 cubed is 125, a goes on the top, and this is a negative, so b goes on the bottom. Nice. Alright, number 13. Fifth root of 3,125 over 1,024. So let's just, when I see this, I see that I can't really do anything, so let's prime factor both of those separately. So 3, 1, 2, 5, I know a 5 can go in there. That's 625, I know 5 is going to go in there. That's 125, and I know that's just 5 times 5 times 5. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5s. Okay. The other one I have to do is that 1,024 separately. Alright, so you could do this. It would take a while. I just know that it's going to end up being 2 to the power 10. Okay. So overall this, if I rewrite it, is the fifth root of 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 over the fifth root of 2 times 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 2. So index of 5s, you have to take 5 out to change to 1. So this will turn out to be 1 5 and 2 2s, which is a 4. That's the same as 5 over 4. Okay, this next one, cube root of negative 1,728. So let's do the prime factorization of 1728. I know 2 is going to go in there. And then another 2. And then another 2. And then another 2. And another 2. Another 2. Finally, no more 2s. 9 to the 3 and 3 to the 3. So overall, this can be written as negative 3 times 3 times 3, index 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so I can group by 3, so I can take those 3, and those 3 out. So 3 times 2 times 2 is 12. Cube root of negative 1 left over. What times what times what gives you negative 1? Well, it's just negative 1. So it's going to be negative 12 in the end. Alright. Number 14, almost there. Determine the side length of a square with area 72 centimeters squared. Write your answer as a radical in the simplest form. So we got a square, we know area, we have length. Length, area is just length squared. Area is 72 is equal L squared. So if we want to find out what that L is, we have to square root both sides, and we end up with an L equals square root of 72. It's not the simplest form, so we can make that into a mixed radical by prime factoring. 72, 2 and 36, 2 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 3. So this is square root of 1, 2, 3 2's and 2 3's. 3 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. Group by 2. And we end up with 3 times 2 root, only 1 2 left over. So 6 root 2 is the side length of this square. 6 root 2 times 6 root 2 gives us that 72. Okay, a cube root has, so now we're dealing with a cube. Length times length times length. We know that volume is length cubed. Okay, this time 1280 is our volume, equals L cubed, and then we cube root both sides. So our length is just cube root of 1280. So we gotta prime factor that. 2, 640, 2, 320, 2, 160, 2, 80, 2, 40, 2, 20, 5, 4, 2, 2. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2's. I'm just going to shorten it by writing that, just because I don't want to write them all. And there's 1 5 in there. So now we can take out all 8 of the 2's, but just change them to 4 2's. Oh, actually it's a cube root. So we can only take out 6 of the 2's, which will leave 2 times 2 cube root. It'll be 2 left over and that 5 in there. And we'll end up with 4 cube root of 20. Alright, very last question. A research assistant calculate the brain mass. So you have an 8 kilogram cat. She uses this formula. So there's a formula, so you're going to have to use it. B equals 0.01 m to the 2 over 3. And she wants to find the brain mass for 8 kilogram cat. So we can go B equals 0.01, 8, 2/3. And then I know I can cube this 8, and that'll be 8 times 8 times 8. It's 512, and take the square root of that. Oh wait, other way, sorry. I can square it and then take the cube root, or cube root it then take the square. So cube root of 8 is 2, squared is 4, so B equals 0.01 times 4, and then 4 times 0.01 is 0.04. Okay, so I know that's the answer, and I know they didn't get there, but where did they go wrong? So they wrote cube root of 8 squared. Yeah, that looks right. Let me go on to the next one. And they said the cube root is still there, so they're saying 8 squared changed to 16. No, that's 8 times 2, not 8 squared. 8 squared is 64, so that's where they went wrong. 8 squared does not equal 16. And that's the solutions for chapter 4.